code 37, in other words, a stolen vehicle. And as soon as they tried to pull this person over, he accelerated, and the police was on.
Smoking a cigarette.
Well, probably his last.
Wow.
Yeah, we're going to try and maneuver around to kind of the southwest side to see if we can get a better angle on this. But there you have it. He's going to be on this rooftop, potentially for a little while until they can come up with a strategy to get him down. But yeah, there you have it. He's sitting for now, and he will likely be on the move here shortly as soon as the cops approach him.
Yeah, but again, figuring out how exactly to approach him is the challenge, because obviously they don't want to have their police officers trying to scale that roof on ladders and have unstable footing. That's not a position. The best case scenario is this guy comes to his senses and climbs down.
No lighter?
And goes peacefully.
Yeah.
I just have a lighter to light his cigarette. What an idiot.
Unnecessary risks. Although last time around we did hear that the LA City Fire Department was called to the scene here.
Found it.
To bring ladders up to the roof, so maybe that's part of some sort of a plan that they're formulating to get this guy down. But at any rate, we don't have any city fire trucks on scene as of yet, but they will probably be coming into this location shortly.
In that location, the southeast corner, just off the southeast of the UCLA campus.
No problem.
A very nice neighborhood in Westwood. And some homeowner perhaps waking up to the sound of something on his or her rooftop.
The pitter-patter of tiny feet.
And the police saying you might want to come outside because we have a suspect on top of your house.
You haven't seen anyone escorted from the house, have you, Mark? I mean, I know we've been focusing on their roof here to keep an eye on this suspect, but you haven't seen necessarily if there were people, residents from inside the home taken outside.
You know what? I have not. We've been kind of concentrating on, maintaining a picture of the suspect here. So we have not seen anyone come out of the house. Although maybe they were evacuated, we don't know for sure. Yeah, there's basically 2 homes affected here. Hopefully they have been evacuated, but we don't have any confirmation at this point.
And, you know, in a way, it almost looks comical. A guy sitting up here having a cigarette, but it's clearly a dynamic and potentially dangerous situation for officers. They have to treat it very seriously. We can see that they've actually, looks like they've brought a couple of ladders over here on the left side of the frame. But that's a high roof. That is not, 5 or 7 feet. I mean, that's
it's at least a 2-story, or is it a 3-story even?
That's a very dangerous slope, and
goodness knows, I'm scared enough even leaning a ladder against my single-story house with by Christmas lights time. You're right, this is a really high roof.
Yeah, you bet. It's a high roof, and not only that, but it's kind of a split-level roof, so there are different levels of the roof line that you see there. He is on kind of the lower level there, but yeah, that is definitely going to pose some risks for anyone who might want to come after this guy. But yeah, you do see some ladders there in the backyard. Hopefully they'll make use of them, but in a way that is not going to be dangerous for officers, who attempt to approach this guy.
And you can see more of the bizarre behavior, going down, speaking to an officer, and then running away. And now it looks like he's going to jump to the next house over again.
Okay, while he's still kind of moving around here, we're going to bring the voice of Ginger Chan. Obviously, we're talking about Westwood here, not too far from UCLA. Ginger, obviously, there's going to be some closures in that immediate area.
Yeah, and then Mark was also talking about that exact location. So it's basically the 800 block of Malcolm, and this suspect, the stolen vehicle suspect, he was traveling north on Malcolm. He was approaching Wilshire Boulevard when he decided to ditch the car. So this intersection, or as close to a major intersection, would be Hildegard and LeConte. So if you normally travel into Westwood, you know those are some major streets. So I do want to give you some alternates so you can stay away from where all this activity is taking place, especially if maybe some more officers or even firefighters are going to head to this scene to help get this guy down. So instead of taking LeConte, and again, that's going to be your major street, you're going to want to take Manning instead of taking Hildegard. You can always take Lynbrook to the east, and some of those are going to take you a little bit of extra time if you're planning to take it into this general area or into Westwood. But certainly you want to stay away from Hildegard, LeConte, and of course Malcolm, because there's still all this activity that is taking place there as they try to get this guy off the roof. Michaela Frank.
All right, Ginger, thanks for that update. That'll help a lot. And of course, you can always follow Ginger. She is fantastic about updating Twitter with alternates and situations to keep an eye out on.
And you know, you look at this guy and you think, all right, the police, if they wanted to, they could fire some non-lethal rounds at him and bring him down in no time at all. You just tumble off that roof. But could you imagine someone like this then suing, you know, the city, suing the police department for doing that?
Sometimes you got to protect people from themselves.
Yeah. So let's hope he eventually gets some reason into his head. He hasn't shown any indication of that yet.
Well, he had a smoke break, maybe he had a chance to sort of rethink his plan here, and well, and okay, so this is the other thing. It's not just the one homeowner that we're dealing with. He's been jumping back and forth between these two houses, so obviously the whole neighborhood is kind of on pins and needles here with all of the police presence, the helicopters flying overhead, and a suspect running around on the roof of their houses. It's not like we're in the olden times. This is very modern day.
And Mark, we saw what looked like an LAPD officer on the roof, and we're not giving away anything tactically to this guy because he doesn't have a TV in front of him. He doesn't have access to our air, so even if we talk about that or show that, he's not going to know it. We have a policy here. We never give away anything tactically, you know, to a potential barricaded suspect where you see the officers moving in. But in this case, this guy has no access to any media. So if officers are moving in and we happen to inadvertently show that, we just want you to know that we're very sensitive to that always. Not giving away anything tactically to a suspect, but I do see that an officer is, at least one officer has moved into place somewhere near this guy.
Yeah, there are officers basically surrounding the perimeter of these two houses here, and as this guy just jumps from the front to the back, I mean, there are officers there to greet him. Yeah, you're right. He doesn't have access to our air. He doesn't appear to be talking on a cell phone, so he's not getting information from anyone. But you know, that is certainly some good news. But you know, as he makes his way around, I mean, we just wonder, you know, at what point will he decide to give up? Because that appears to be the only way, you know, that this may come to an end. But we'll certainly see over the course of the next, well, hopefully a few minutes here. But here he is on the go again, coming up the east side and making his way over towards the west side. He's been straddling this roof. He's been straddling the roof, you know, just to the north. In other words, to the top of your picture there, and he just kind of keeps moving from area to area. And there, as he comes down this area here, you see that one officer next to the garage of the next house there, and you know, everyone's trying to encourage this guy to come down, and so we'll see what he does, and hopefully he does decide to come down and give himself up peacefully.
Well, and what may happen is they may bring an officer up the roof, confront him face to face, and simply flush him off of the roof by telling him to get down. And it looks like they may be bringing the non-lethal rounds into play. I saw an officer with a long rifle there.
I did too. I didn't get too much detail on the rifle itself. Was it a beanbag? Was it a beanbag round or a rubber bullet round? We don't know. But yeah, we did see as he was coming down the pitch of that eastern angle or that eastern edge of the roof there. We saw two officers, one with a handgun and one with a longer gun. So we're not sure whether that was a non-lethal round, whether it would be a rubber bullet or a beanbag round. We don't know.
Well, and they want to take great precaution in doing something like this. They're waiting for the right opportunity. Obviously, and they'll make decisions there on the ground about what they want to do here, because as we were talking about,
just get down. What's the point of being there? Just get down. You get arrested no matter what.
Disable them enough to cause them to fall.
Yeah.
And that's not what they're looking to have happen.
People,
And you know, the
People,
other thing that officers always have
don't
to
try this at
be
home.
aware of is that there are people who want the police to kill them. You know, we hope that's not the case here, and we don't know that that's the case, but it's one of the factors that the police have to consider when there is a suspect like this who seems to be inviting officers to come after him. And again, we hope that's not the case here, but this is someone who's acting in a bizarre fashion, and we can only hope that he will eventually have some reason pop into that head of his, and he'll come off the roof and be taken into custody.
Well, it seems as though you were talking about several units being called, and it sounds as though that maybe they've had some more reinforcements come in to help out in this situation.
Yeah, we do have several more officers showing up to the scene here, and so hopefully, you know, they are here in capacity that might enable them to take this guy into custody sooner, whether they are negotiators or what have you, we don't know. But yeah, quite a few more officers here are in the neighborhood. Again, they probably brought in several of these officers in an effort to surround these two buildings there. And there you have an officer there walking in front of them. But yeah, you know, the erratic behavior, we don't know what's going on. We don't know what's going on as he seems like he's lighting up another cigarette, doesn't he? But lots of erratic behavior. He's just not this whole cat and mouse game. I mean, it can't go on forever, but hopefully he has enough sense to come down sooner than later. And it looks like he's kind of thinking about jumping over to the next roof again. So
But I tell you,
we'll see over the course of the next couple of
he's
minutes.
doing all the wrong things when you have officers standing in front of you and they're telling you to show your hands and you put your hands in your pocket.
Yeah.
Not very smart.
Not a good move. And you know, he might have a vantage point of being on the roof above these people, but he doesn't. He probably has no sense of how many law enforcement personnel are on the ground or keeping eyes on him.
And 5's here at 19.
He's going to wear himself out at some point. I mean, it takes a fair amount of physicality to hoist yourself up and down on a rooftop.
We can only hope. And this is the neighborhood, again, if you're just catching us, this is right to the southeast of the UCLA campus, the major intersections, LeConte and Hillgard. It's actually happening on the 800 block of Malcolm, which is about a block over from that intersection.
He's not moving around as fast as he was before. He's not, I don't know if he's calmed down or if he's fatigued, but he was really skittering around for the first little while we were watching this, and he's moving a little bit more deliberately now.
Yeah, you know what? There was a lot more activity from this guy. When we first got onto the scene, he was kind of scampering around from house to house and from one part of the rooftop to the next. He looks like he may be slowing down. We don't know, but you know, he's been on the roof for, well, the better part of a half an hour at this point. So, you know, you'd figure at some point he'd probably just, you know, tire out and want to give himself up. But so far, you know, to the contrary, he's done everything he can to resist having to climb down. And you know, certainly we haven't seen any action by officers to come up to the roof, and so they don't want to unnecessarily endanger themselves. But yeah, look at this guy. I mean, he's just he's not moving around as quick as he was earlier, but you know, he's got to realize that his options are limited. I mean, there's only so many areas of rooftop that he can get to, and at some point they're going to start closing in, and they will have to at some point take some action and take this guy into custody.
Yeah, and you know, it may again involve them simply pushing him to action by coming up there onto the rooftop and confronting him and giving him a choice, essentially, to either jump or to be taken into custody by the officers right there on the roof. And one way or another, this guy's going to be in cuffs sometime today.
He's got to know that he's on the losing end of this proposition. I mean, at the very least, he's got to understand that.